Hello there, welcome to Craft with Fee. Today we're going to be making a beautiful little Mannequin Pomander. And you can see here that I have a template for you. Now you can download that from my Google Drive, so I will pop a link in the description box for you to do that. If you're in the Tilda Lovers group on Facebook, which is where I base myself, you will be able to find the file in the file section. Well, I'll upload that today as well. So I've printed mine onto cardboard, which is what I always do because it makes it so much easier to use. So then you've got a nice thick little template there that you can trace around. So you need to get a piece of fabric and you need to pop it with the right sides together, like I've done there. And then you just need to trace around your template. Now make sure that you transfer across these markings because these markings are the ones where we're going to be leaving an opening for stuffing. So you need to just remember that when you stitch, we're going to stitch beginning at one side and we're going to go all the way around and then we're going to get round to the other side here. Now, what we're going to do before we get to that point is we're going to insert some ribbon, a hanging ribbon, so that it actually gets sewn into our stitching line. So what you need to do is to grab a piece of ribbon. Now I'm using this just Stampin' Up! Weave cream one, which they call Very Vanilla, I think. But it's a nice cloth one, and it's about 15 centimetres in length. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it in behind, and I don't know if you can see, but I can see through this fabric, the light's shining through, and I can see exactly where I'm putting that ribbon. So you want to make sure that it's centered up through that neck and that it's not going to be in the way of these stitching lines here. So as I said, I'm not sure if you can actually see in this light. I can see directly through it. But if you're worried about it actually catching in the neck, you can use a thinner ribbon. But I think mine's going to be okay because it's not the same width as the neck. Should be fine. So I'm just going to pop a pin in there just to hold that in place. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this to the sewing machine, and as I said, I'm going to stitch from one of the opening sides and I'm going to go all around, and that's going to catch the ribbon at the same time, and then I'm going to stop here and then we'll come back. Okay, there we go. So we have it all stitched now. You might be able to see the stitching on the camera, hopefully. I'm going to have my little opening there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cut it out, and I'm just going to roughly cut up through there so that I can get in a bit closer. So we're going to cut it out with about a 1/4 inch seam, and then we're going to clip those curves. Then what we're going to do is we're going to turn it into the right way through that little hole at the bottom. Give it a little press so that we get nice crisp seams, and then we're going to stuff it with some stuffing, but what we're also going to do is put some fragrance in there. Now how you do that is entirely up to you. You can use the raw material, so you could use potpourri, you could use lavender. I have these jars in my craft room, and these are rice, but they're essential oil infused rice. So I have them so I can use them in my smelly projects, and that smells absolutely divine. So I'll just pop a couple of little teaspoons of that into my pomander. But you can use whatever you want. So as I said, lavender would be my first choice, but can't lay my hands on my bag of lavender at the moment. So when we clip these curves, when you get to curves that are like this, that are on right angles, you do need to just cut the little corners off a little bit, just so that we don't get too much of the fabric bulk on those corners. And then we just need to clip around all of these other curves, and then that you will find that will give you a beautiful smooth look to your seams. You don't want them sort of bulging and not being able to move. So what that actually does is it allows the fabric to stretch as you're stuffing. And as I said, you will then get a nice smooth look. So now I've made it a decent size so that it's not too fiddly for you, because you don't want a teeny tiny little pomander either. It'd be really nice if this was pride of place in your wardrobe or on the door or whatever. You want to be able to see it, and of course you want it to be able to do its job and scent. Now, of course, you could also put mothballs, naphthalene flakes, I think that's what they're called. You could put cedar shavings, you know, whatever you use in your wardrobes, or there's lots and lots of different things. Now, another thing that you can use to scent, you're going to laugh when I tell you, is clay kitty litter. So clay kitty litter is like those little rocks that you can buy. Now, those rocks will absorb fragrance, so you can actually put some fragrant oil onto those rocks and then use those in your smelly projects. So anyway, I'm going to go and turn it in the right way. So, and you will see that if I do it here now and show you, you're going to need something to poke through that end. Let's see if I can find something here in a moment. Don't want anything too sharp. These scissors might do the trick. So you can use your little bit of ribbon there to help you pull it through. So you'll see there that it's just starting to take shape. So that's the shoulder. And you can see there those little pulls. If you pull that seam out like that, and you'll see that they've gone now, those little creases. It's because you've got those little snips in your fabric on the edges that it actually helps it, as I said, to meld into the shape that you want it. It's very clever. And so we'll just poke these little corners out in the bottom here. Ordinarily I'd use a chopstick or something like that, but my chopstick is on the other side of the room and I don't want to get up. Okay, so what you need to do, as I said, is to iron it, and when you iron it, you need to iron those little flaps there so that when you are closing it up, you've got a lovely neat bottom. So you can see that that's how my little pomander is going to look. So as I said, when you got your hot iron, just get those seams and give them a good pull and pull them into shape, and you'll see there that you've got that beautiful shape. Okay, and then I want you to stuff it, put your smelly stuff inside. Then I want you to ladder stitch or whip stitch, whichever you prefer, the bottom closed. It's actually going to be covered up because we're then going to make a skirt for it. So don't be too fussy about that. It'll look fine. So I'll go and do that and we'll catch up in a sec. Okay, there we go, all stuffed, and I've sewn the bottom up there, as you can see. So now we have our beautiful little fragrant pomander. Now I have my scent in there and I can actually feel the rice through there, which is absolutely fine. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make her a skirt. And I've gone into my scrap fabrics. I have a lot of fabrics that aren't necessarily quilting fabrics, but I've got some lace here and some satin. So some pink satin and a nice big long piece of lace. Now the width of this lace is 13 centimetres, which in inches would be, let me work that out, for just over 5 inches in width. And so I've made both of these pieces the same length, but I've made the satin a little bit shorter so that the lace pops out down the bottom there. So what we're going to do is we're going to put them with the right sides together so that the lace is sitting on top of the satin, and then we're going to stitch down that seam to make a little skirt. So I've already done that. So you can see there that I've sewn straight down the edge there. So then I'm going to turn it through to the right side, and you can see that I have a little dress there. Reminds me very much of the little dresses I used to make for my daughters for their Barbie dolls when they were little. Then we're going to grab a bit of needle and cotton, and we're going to start at the seam there that we've stitched at the back there, and we're just going to run a tacking stitch by hand all the way around, and then we're going to dress her. Now you could use long flowing tulle, you could use the matching fabric to make her a skirt. I want mine to look a little bit shabby because my bedroom is decorated in shabby style, because I love shabby rose, and so I thought, well, this can hang in my bedroom, so that's the reason I'm doing it in pink. It's the only thing I hate about satin, you get those little cobwebs that come off it. This used to be a table runner, this bit of pink satin, so I'm doing a bit of upcycling here. But I always look when I go thrift shopping, because that's another one of my hobbies. I always look at the cheap clothing rack. Sometimes they'll have a rack of clothing that's to be, you know, on its way out the door for $1. And I look at the textiles that they're made out of, and often I will cut those up and use those in craft as well. So keep your eye out for satin shirts and things like that. Okay, so we've got that running stitch. You can see there the running stitch all the way around the edge. It doesn't need to be neat. And we're going to pop our little pomander inside, and we're going to gather this at her waist. Now we want this seam at the back so that you can't see it from the front. So we're just going to pull that gathering stitch tight, and you'll see there that she now has a little gathered skirt. Now I like to push all of my gathers towards the front. I'm just going to plug my hot glue gun in, because this is going to be a job for my hot glue gun for the rest of this little project. So once you've got the gathers in the spot where you want them, and you've got that seam there at the back, you can see there I've got her little seam at the back, we're just going to run a couple of little stitches through the pomander and then through the skirt, and then just tie that thread off, just so that our little dress is attached. Like that. Now that will still allow you to be able to move those little gathers around to wherever it is that you want them. But you can see there she's now dressed in a beautiful little skirt. So, and she's very shabby, which, as I said, that's what I like. Now I'm going to be making quite a few of these for gifts. Because I'm starting to think now that we're into the second half of the year almost, that it's time to start thinking about gifts for Christmas time. So these would make a beautiful gift, very feminine. Now, what we're going to do now is to decorate her. So you could give her a little necklace if you wanted to. I have no plan in my brain about how I'm going to do this, so you're playing along with me here. Okay, yes, I think I will give her a pearl necklace. So these are little flat back pearls that come on a roll. I bought these quite a long time ago, but I'm sure that if you looked on eBay or somewhere like that, you'd be able to come across something similar. So that's them there. They're lovely. So as I said, we're going to use our hot glue gun. I'm just waiting for it to heat up. So we have our necklace ready to go on. So what we need to think about now is the top of our skirt. This is what I mean about this satin. It has little cobwebs. Now I'm going to be using, I think I'm going to use a seam binding. I don't want to put more lace on there, because I think that that white lace is just beautiful, and I don't want to try to match that colour, but I think that will look lovely. That is a seam binding that I have there, and I think what we might do is do her a hanging bow at the back. So if I cut off, let me measure that so I can tell you, that's about 45 centimetres there, about just under 20 inches. Okay, so we're going to find the middle, and I'm just going to put a little crease in the middle so that I can make sure I get it nice and even. And I think we've probably got our glue gun heated up. I'm going to use a pair of tweezers because my glue gun bites, as do they all. They can be quite nasty little things. So just run a little bit of glue onto my flat back pearls there, and then I'm going to use this to center it. Whoops, the glue's not stuck on that side. That's the beauty of using hot glue. You can pull it off and start again. Okay, so this side hasn't glued either. There's a fine line between having your glue gun on and having it hot, and then having it too hot. Now I do have one that's temperature controlled, but it's a massive big thing and a bit hard to use, to be honest. Okay, so she has a little necklace now, and as I said, we've got our halfway point, and I'm just going to simply run some glue straight over those gathering stitches, and I'm going to spread it out a little bit with my tweezers, and then I'm going to pop it down like that and let it set for a moment. So that's going to give her a waistband. And then I'm just going to tie it at the back. It's just like dressing a little dolly, isn't it? It's adorable. I think I might just do a knot so that she has, yeah, so that her dress ties up at the back. And then I'll just snip those like so. There we go. That's her little dress tie at the back, and then she has a beautiful little waistband at the front. Okay, so now she needs a bit of bling, do you think? Now in my bling collection here, I've got all these brooches that I bought a long time ago, but I was thinking that she might look okay with this pink one. Yeah, that's gonna look good. Okay, so I wonder if I can just put it on or whether or not I should glue it on. Let's see how we go. You can see I planned this video really well today. I knew in my head what I wanted to do, so you're just crafting along with me today. I'm having a bit of trouble getting it latched. Oh, there we go. Wow, that looks cool. There we go. Isn't she pretty? She's so pretty. So there we go. There's our scented pomander. Let me unplug that glue gun before it burns me. So, how simple was that? You've got this beautiful little pomander. What a gorgeous gift that would make for somebody. I'm sure that you have somebody in your life that you can straight up say, yep, they're going to love that. So, as I said, you can use whatever you want in them as far as a scent goes. You can even do them unscented, of course, if that's what you want to do. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and then that way you'll be notified if you click the bell of when I put new videos up. If you haven't already become a member of the Craft with Fee Facebook group or the Tilda Lovers Club on Facebook, come along and join us. We have lots of fun and inspiration in there. And of course, if you make my little pomander this week, I'd love to see your version. Until next week, I'll see you later. Bye.